Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to RLAfterShock, the longest-running independent podcast for everything that is Rocket League esports in the European scene. And for the first time in 10 episodes, we are actually live on the fucking Twitch channel. Hallelujah, gentlemen! We have made it. Hallelujah. Bacon, it's been a tough month, and what was it, 10 weeks so far? So yeah, it's been a tough 10 weeks, just constantly sitting in our dark bedrooms, recording shit and doing multiple takes, and now we get back to doing the real meat of things, the live Aftershock show here on Twitch.
If anything, I'm sad now because I'm not allowed to walk around my room with my headset on and boxers. That's it. Like, now I'm on camera, I've actually got to be proper. It's a dark day, Jay.
Indeed, and as you can see, we're not the only ones on camera. We have a couple of fine guests, because this week is going to be our special massive bonanza show, the big preview to the RLCS Season 7 World Championship Finals. The 12 best teams in the world will be they'll be converging on New Jersey, ready to take the grand prize, potentially of $500,000. And just like last season, we're going to be coming into this season with two special guests that will be joining us to make a grand prediction and talk all about their expertise. Returning from that last particular season was, of course, Mr. Craftman, who I think came second place in that prediction
I don't even
show.
know. I can't actually remember. It's that long ago. I don't think I even looked at the scores.
Yeah, it's been a bit of time. I didn't actually check that one out. I should have actually done that research, but I done fucked up in that regard. But regardless, Craftman is joining us once again for this show. How are you doing, my man?
I'm very well. I'm very excited for this LAN, obviously. Obviously, I think we might talk about it a little bit later on, but obviously disappointed it's not an EU. For the second time in a row. But hey, we've still got Valencia coming up, don't we? But this one's going to be absolutely huge. Obviously, South America coming in, see how they perform on the world stage. Really, for the first time since, WSOE was really the first time we got to see them. But now they've had a little bit of time to sort of grow, have a full season of RLCS down in their region. So we'll see how they perform on the big stage. So that's what I'm looking forward to this weekend.
Indeed, and also we are joined by another second guest. We've replaced Doomsday for this one here, Bacon. We've decided to get in the best Latvian caster that we possibly could, and now by that I mean the only Latvian caster that we potentially know of in the Rocket League scene. Jar of Jam is joining us from across to the Eastern Europe region. My man, how have you been these last few months? Because we've been talking a lot, with Frag League going on and everything, but I haven't actually spoken to you in a couple of weeks since those finals.
It has been slow, really. It has been a busy few months with both the Frag League, the Baltic Esports League that I've been working on with our league. But after that, it sort of died down. Now everyone's sort of quieted down in preparation for Valencia, for the RLCS. And right now, I'm just excited to see some more Rocket League. It just has been a lot of rest for me, but I'm getting back into just following of the things. I've missed quite a bunch, but now ready for this weekend for Valencia as well. And actually, I do believe all four of us might be spotted in the stadiums over there.
Yeah, we might all be in Valencia. Might be in the keyword, as in, like, I haven't actually booked my flights yet. So,
Jay, dude, you absolutely kill it. You told me the other day you were going to do it.
I know. I completely forgot, man. I'm the master procrastinator. Right? For context, like, I didn't actually get all the guests lined up for 100% until last night for this particular show. So, it's been a manic couple of weeks, right? With the Starlight of Miners going on and everything, right? I've been a very busy boy, and I'm also just the worst in terms of organization. Bacon, I think you need my job at this stage. Right, but we're going to talk and get into the show now, because again, we do have some matches in Rocket League to talk about over the course of this weekend. Again, the World Championships, where we want to be talking about a few different of the teams. Obviously, we're going to be doing our standard traditional pick and prediction game, where there will be up to 96, somewhere around the region of 96 points up for grabs to see who will be the ultimate prediction analyst, essentially, here on RLAfterShock. But before we get to all that, I do want to talk about some of the teams coming into this LAN. We are a European podcast, so we do want to zone in on some of the European teams and some of the potential that we will have over the course of their runs, potentially. So I want to start with Vitality, because this is a team that I think a lot of us kind of going into this event looked at and we said, okay, they probably are the best team in the world right now. I know that Bacon was saying top 4, top 2, potentially top 1, especially towards the end of their RLCS run, but they haven't been able to claim that all-important Dallas trophy, So there is a question for me about whether or not they'll be able to perform going into this LAN.
Yeah, and as a self-proclaimed Vitality fanboy, I'm just going to put that straight out there. I'm a Vitality fanboy, and this is slightly spoiler for my predictions. I do not have Vitality winning, because of the run that they had at Dallas a couple weeks back. Yes, they had a fantastic RLCS season. The only one, it was Triple Trouble was the only one that tripped them up along the way. But it was disappointing at Dallas, and I know it was disappointing for the players as well. So they want to get back on that train wreck. I know Jam mentioned just before we came on air that they're away at boot camp just now, getting ready for this weekend. And I know Gregan will be whipping the boys hard, not in a weird way, but in a you play Rocket League until your fingers bleed kind of way, but in a healthy gamer coach kind of way.
I'm glad you
I was
clarified
going to say,
that,
now,
especially
did we all
after
see that tweet as well?
Yes, I was going to say.
Where it looked like Scrub was being held hostage, and he's just there looking really awkward with a signed T-shirt, where everyone else is smiling or grins. I love that picture so much.
So I think Vitality, like you said, potentially the best team in the world coming out of league play and into obviously the regional championship, but their performance at Dallas was very underwhelming, not even making it out of day 2. So I'm very concerned to see what they do this weekend, but what I will say is this is the best Vitality, or at least coming out of league play, this is the best Vitality we've seen in a long time. And
definitely coming into LAN as well. Silence give out the free water bottles. We've seen them on stage before, so there's no excuses this time, really, is there, Crafters?
I can see the stream being filled with loads of in-jokes. Jam, I want to know, just quickly getting your thoughts on Renault Vitality, because, again, like a lot of us had them pinned to be the best, and I don't know what your feelings are on that, especially after the Dallas performance.
It was the same for me. Just looking at their performance in the regular season, I thought, there's the team that finally can take it. The form that all of the players suddenly have sprung into, especially Scrubkilla, meant that the team that was in preparation for a long time, really, Scrubkilla has been sort of followed for ages, and now he is immediately making some great impact. Yeah, Dallas just spoiled it all. I would have put Renault Vitality up there as the winners of the World Championships, but with that specific performance, even considering that they've arrived in NJersey early, they've started preparing there. Obviously, they're a team with an organization that can allow itself to spend resources on having staff, on having a lot of preparation. I don't think, for example, that Triple Trouble will be able to allow themselves that thing. Renault Vitality can even just allow themselves people like just trained specialists who can prepare the help players to get into the right mindset, basically more like psychiatrists in a way. And yet we haven't seen what happened in between Dallas and LAN, but in those about 2-3 weeks, I'm assuming they have been preparing really hard. I still don't think they're going to take it.
Yeah, no, and it is quite curious the way that you mentioned that, because, Vitality are one of the organizations, actually 3 organizations that essentially are backed by mainstream football or otherwise sports-based brands, essentially, with Renault being Vitality's sponsor and FC Barcelona and PSG being football clubs. And, despite all that, it hasn't been the best of performance from them. And we I did want to prod you two about this topic that me and Bacon were talking about the past couple of weeks, about the idea of bringing in a coach. Because Scrubkilla after Dallas was saying, I wish we had someone like Gregan on stage with us so he could talk us through and discuss things out. And we have had some different sides of the conversation in regards to the coaching rules. But since you're on broadcast now, we've got the opportunity. I did want to prod you guys. What are your thoughts on bringing in coaches on stage and in between games to try and boost team motivation? I'm
very much for it. I mean, it kind of, at least in Rocket League, it kind of came to prominence in the Gfinity Elite Series with you had Doc Moriarty who stood behind the teams, and then obviously Gregan did it when he came on to Vitality, and I can't remember the guy's name, but the guy from Method as well. A lot of coaches started standing behind teams, and they started performing really well. And I was talking to Gregan not too long ago, and he did say at Gfinity, I think it was still when Pashy was on the team, that they had a really bad game. Pashy just turned around to Greg and said, "Right, man, what do we do?" And then I think they managed a reverse sweep out of that. So it does make a difference. And Jay, you from your CSGO background, you probably know having a coach standing behind the teams does make an absolutely huge difference. The thing is, not all the teams have a coach or someone who can stand behind them and give them that motivation. So I think that's why Psyonix are hesitant to bring that in, just because it's not a universal thing yet, because it might give a team an unfair advantage. And I can see why they wouldn't do that, but I'm very much all for having coaches stand behind, even with headphones on, listen to comms. Even if they can't say anything during the game, have that in that 60-second break, have like a team talk. That's what I want to see. Maybe from next season, at least from next year, I would say.
Yeah, I would expect Psyonix to perhaps push the teams to have some sort of official coach for the next season. At least for the big teams, we are not expecting perhaps every single one of the teams to have one. But we're just specifically speaking about the teams who are going to LAN. Because if the coaches are allowed in CSGO, Rocket League is even simpler than that in ways. There's no need to track economy like in CSGO. There's no need to track things like wards or jungle mobs like in MOBAs. The only thing I can think of is boost management, or just boost, whatever you call boost economy. You might call it that. I don't think that's worth denying the coach if that's the only thing. Everything else, coach needs to be there just for moral support, for more of a strategizing point, and why not? I'm also, just like Craftman, all for it, and the sooner it happens, I think, the more interesting the games will become in Sims.
Well, the main counter argument to increasing coaches' sort of involvement in Rocket League is the idea that some of the lower level organizations might not be able to afford it. I know that Leafex was a pretty hard pusher about this particular thing, and I sort of like went in and had a discussion with him on Twitter about it. But I'll be honest, I don't think that's like an even trade-off. You know, like again, I feel like there's a lot more that we could gain at the top level of Rocket League, and at the end of the day, it is a change for the top level of Rocket League. There's nothing stopping a team from qualifying for the RLRS and making it into the RLCS and theoretically going on to be a champion, essentially. I don't think a coach will make that sort of a radical difference. I think that it will sort of unlock the potential in a lot of these teams like Renault Vitality and PSG and FC Barcelona. But, you know, just sort of like to round out that particular conversation, I do want to move on to the other two teams from Europe, obviously, that the other three teams, from Europe, that will be sort of like representing us at the World Championship. The second one being FC Barcelona, who, in my opinion, I think are probably one of the favourites, honestly, to take the whole thing.
Well, looking at us all, like, because I get a sneak peek into our predictions, I definitely think they're largely the favourites from us casters. We were talking about this beforehand, and we were a little bit surprised by a lot of players rating PSG as being the strongest. I don't know, maybe they've done something in the few weeks being away, of course. But looking at Barcelona, the only thing I can count against them is how they can have like amazing days. Look to Dallas. They went 4 games in a row through days 1 and 2 and just did not drop a single game. Go into the last day and they 3-1 lose against EG. Now, as long as they don't get that massive fuck up once again, they should be fine, because if we look to Leipzig beforehand when they're under Savage, they had an absolute cracking run right up, and I think they even took down Cloud9 right up until the point where they faced off against Dignitas in the tournament. Dignitas won and lost 4-3 in Game 7 in the semi-finals. For me, Barca are the strongest. Yeah, for me, Barca are the strongest team going into this, as long as they don't get that last day sort of blunder, which I want to say is probably a lot of overconfidence when they went up against EG, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you take a look at the results that they had on days 1 and 2 of Dallas, and actually, it's not only just 4-0 in terms of series, it was 12-0 in terms of games. They swept some massive squads. They swept the Peeps, they swept Complexity, they swept Icon, who were the AU representatives at that time. So, just sort of like looking at the way that they sort of performed, when they're looking good, they are looking like they're an insane sort of level LAN squad. And we never kind of expected any of that going into this season,
Well, they really came to strength at the latter half of the season. They started poorly, although they've won against Dignitas, and that sort of started the whole Horbat season for the Dignitas squad. But after that, they just kept on trucking. I mean, they're currently playing in ESL Masters España, and they've won that tournament, playing in the finals in 7 games. That was a 3-0 and a 4-0 sweeps. They only conceded 1 goal, including the game against ARG, one of the most aggressive teams there currently are on the European scene. So they definitely know how to beat even those teams. And yet, I think it's not their year just yet. It's not their time to win it just yet. if they're gonna win it, it's gonna be really a Cinderella story, going from RLRS into RLCS in winning the World Championship. That's gonna be better than This Is Rocket League moment.
Oh yeah, that is the key storyline for FCB. Literally in 2 seasons, they've gone from not even in the circuit as a whole to being LAN contenders, which is an absolutely insane and never ever seen before feat in the entire of Rocket League. You know, not even back during the grassroots days. I don't think we ever had, a particularly notable team that did anything like that in regards to the MLG Pro Circuit or the RLC Pro League or anything like that. You know, like just going back for Rocket League history, I think this is a first, to be honest.
As far as I can recall, yeah. I mean, now you got two teams who made it from Rival Series last season to World Championship this season. We'll talk about Triple Trouble a little bit later on. But for me, Barcelona, they've been, obviously they came second in European League play, but they've always been kind of roughly around that same like level as Vitality, even during league play. I thought, what? I'll try that again. I'm just trying to look up. I'm just trying to see where they played Vitality during league play. Oh, they got swept by Vitality. Let's not go into that then.
Talking on that, further on that, every single time Barca goes up against Vitality, they get better.
Yeah.
We have to look at this.
Yeah,
every single
true.
result, they're strongly getting better, to which I reckon this time round, I think I've looked at them meeting up in the bracket, and from my predictions anyway, I don't think they will meet Vitality, and that is the only team I could see Barca losing to at this point right now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you say that, but the way that the seeds kind of work out, depending on if they're able to top their groups as they theoretically should do, there is a chance that they could end up making it into those semi-finals and face off against each other, which is a rather interesting way the seedings have worked out. Go on.
Well, I was going to say, from the bracket, if both Vitality and Barca make out top seeds of their group, they'll meet in the semi-finals. Anything other than that, they won't meet until the finals. And yeah, that's quite late in the game because of this new format, and it's a bit devastating there.
Yeah, because honestly, I think that that could possibly, if we see that match, that possibly could be the highlight, in my opinion. You know, like you have to see some serious upsets coming into the group stage to enable that to be the grand finals. And again, in theory, you should be seeing them top out their groups. In theory, you should be seeing them. You should be seeing them in the semi-finals as a result. You know.
Yeah, and like we were saying before as well, Vitality, like we said, been going down. Barcelona been going up. So it's all up in the air. It's a lot. We're a far cry from that ultra sweep that Vitality put onto Barcelona during league play. So it'll be interesting. But like I said, Barcelona, it's a tough one. It's a tough one because they have been around that level. They have dipped slightly, been on like up and down spikes, but they're starting to stabilize, and they are starting to get a little bit more consistency. I think it's, like Bacon mentioned earlier, I think it might just be third day blues for them if they weren't to go on and win it. So we'll see. Maybe being in America will help them. Maybe not. Probably not, because any crowd lol. We'll get onto that. We'll get onto crowds.
Before we get onto that, Jam, I did notice you're having a few confused faces on your camera. Is there anything you want to add to this conversation, or?
No, I was actually just checking. You were talking about the seeds, how the teams are going to finish, and where they're going to place on the bracket. And as I was checking our predictions, I was a little bit surprised to find G2 for Bacon in the lower bracket. But then I figured it out, so I'm all good. The confusion's gone.
See, because he's the outlier. He's the one who's sort of broken away from the path. But we'll get into those particular predictions a little bit later on.
Also,
let's move on.
Okay, I just want to point out here as well, Third Day Blues, as Crafters named it. If Barcelona wins their game on Friday against Renegades, they'll play against Rogue on Friday as well. And then we won't see them again until the Sunday for the playoffs. So there won't be a third day. Boom. Barca and win it.
That's
nice.
It's an interesting theory. Interesting theory. But could you say that if they have that day off, they might be a little bit cold coming into Sunday?
How many more conspiracy theories do we have?
An infinite number, mate. An infinite number. All right, let's talk about our third seed, PSG, because for the longest time, this lineup has looked like they've had so much promise, but their main issue is getting it done at LAN, which is why I think most of us kind of don't feel like they'll be able to go as far as the quarterfinals. If not, they might end up going out the group stage. I think someone actually did predict them to go out of the group stage. Who was that? I see you smiling there, Crafters. It was you.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned this before we came on air as well. Last night I was filling this prediction sheet out, and somehow, some way, I ended up having PSG winning. I'm like, what? No, how does this happen?
Like, Crafters hasn't gone through the group stage, but on that note, how many of you guys have seen INTS? Because that group is actually a killer group. NRG, PSG, and INTS. NRG, I think we'll agree will go through that, but INTS... How much does everyone know? Because I could see really them be a massive upset for PSG.
Well,
I
for
don't
me,
know too much of the.
Well, I was just going to have.
Guys.
Yeah, so I was just going to. Yeah, sorry,
you go, Jake. Go. You're the host.
It's my fucking show. Fuck off.
Your show.
No, I was going to say.
INTS.
So INTS. I have seen a little bit of them, but only a little, sort of like a couple of snippets here and there. Only enough to know exactly how the South American playstyle works, and I don't think it's it's like a. I don't think it's like, enough to battle against the European style, because it is so defensively based versus South America, which is very offensively based. And we've seen how traditionally over the course of history, those two play styles kind of go against each other. And in general, it's the European style that ends up winning it. Admittedly, the only caveat there is the fact that compared to North America, where it's a lot less heavily offensive than South America, there's a potential that offensive could break through. We'll have to see where the cards do fall in regards to that. But for their first outing at LAN, I'm not really sure about South America just yet, which is why I've tentatively considered their sort of their role in the championship as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, if you think back to season 3 with Oceania, their first LAN, nobody got out of. I mean, that's the first time it was 3-day LANs as well. Did anyone get out of day 2? No one got out of day 2. I don't think.
Not from
anyone
OCE, no.
From OCE. They came 9th and 10th as far as I'm aware. Someone will correct me on that probably. But South America, they probably do have promise, and like you said, if they are a sort of primarily attacking based style, remember North America used to be all out blitz attack, let's go for it, and you're won pretty much every single time. So it'll be interesting to see how they match up on the world stage. Obviously, Jay, you've seen them in the kind of little bubble, like saying, and they're great within South America, but we're still to see them, on that world stage, comparing against North America, against Europe, against Oceania, who's started to become a lot stronger region, especially after what this is now the 5th season that they're now at the World Championship as well. So I think give South America time, they will progress. But like you said, Jay, I don't think it's their time this one around.
Which season are we been talking again about the Oceania teams not finishing high, like 9th?
It was season 3. Season 3 was their first
joined.
one.
Yeah, and they came out 9th and 10th for that, and then
it wasn't anything.
Chiefs won.
Actually,
one game
no.
To get into that
actually,
bit,
Alpha Sydney finished 7th, joined 7th and 8th.
Oh, okay.
Selfless
it's
team
still
of
bottom,
North
it's
America.
still bottom
because they
4
won-
placing.
Oh, shit,
so.
yeah.
Indeed.
They won against, was it Denial they won against? I think it was. Denial.
Let me actually see.
It was a North
It
American
was either
team.
Denial's Selfless at that time.
An organisation that's in denial now, boys.
Hey.
But anyway, right, back to track. INTS there, they could do damage. And it's purely, I'm going to say it now, to PSG. We've all been saying PSG have that curse at LAN. Fantastic online team, but when it comes to LAN, they do struggle a bit. So INTS with what is basically an unrefined bim-bam style, just all-out attack, I could see PSG struggle purely because they struggle to get out of their own half. You'll notice that whenever they lose, it is because of high pressure where they can't get out of their own half. They're stuck in defense and struggle to get a build-up going, which I think if they were playing online, PSG would be fine, but the nerves at LAN could hurt them. Saying that, I've got PSG to make out the groups and INTS losing. But I'm saying it's a close call there. That's the only group I would say I would change.
Yeah, I mean, the potential certainly is there. I'd say that depending on if Inns get that victory over PSG, I mean, it is a best of 5, so the chance of an upset are a little bit lower. And in general, PSG tend to have really good first days at LANJ. WSOE was a good example of that. Obviously, they made it into day 2 for Dallas. And I think they did the same thing with Valencia as well when they were out there. So, you're taking a look at the way that the teams, the way that this team works on day 1 of LAN. I'd say it's probably the most likely upset to happen and the most likely elimination upset to happen in the group stage, but I don't think it's going to be
it's a slim chance still.
Yeah, I don't think that says much in the grand scale of how much we think anything of that particular upset. But in terms of PSG just going the distance in this one, like I've said it for ages, that they need some sort of like change in the way that they prepare themselves for a LAN event and the way that they conduct themselves at LAN, because again they look such a dominant online team, and then they get to LAN and things just fall flat on their face, which again is part of the reason why I bring in this coaching rule, because I think that PSG would be one of the teams that you would unlock with a rule like that. Yep. But for this LAN event, like, what do we see as their chances of potentially making it into the semi-finals or finals? As likely as that sounds, to be honest.
From the way it stacks up, if we look at this placement...
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, Bacon, because I noticed how when I said that, everyone had that look of just... on their faces is absolutely fantastic.
So I'm pretty much probably talking from everyone. NRG are topping out Group A. We can pretty much all see that. They're a strong force. PSG will come out second, like we said, probably quite safely, unless somehow that playstyle does not work for NRG and they get smashed. But PSG will either go up against G2 or Vitality due to that seeding. And I'm just going to say, G2 do fairly good on LAN. It's online where they can struggle sometimes. You look at back to Dallas, they had some good games there. And Vitality as well is a strong force, which had, at the start of the year, PSG were beating out Vitality, but now Vitality have that rhythm. They've got the ability to take down PSG now, and I think have taken them down the last 2 times, haven't they? So it's a tricky one for PSG there to make it through to the semis.
All right, then. Well, let's move on to our 4th and final seed for Europe, which is Triple Trouble. Arguably one of the really big dark horses to come into this particular LAN event. Again, just like FC Barcelona in their rookie season in the RLCS, they made it to the LAN event. An unprecedented event for them. Not quite as impressive because they were in the RLRS for a couple seasons prior to that one. But regardless, still, the amount of work this team has put in, the amount of hell they've all been through to get to this point, like, it's undeniable that their spot is well and truly deserved. And I think a few of us have them going quite far in this bracket. Although I do think that, again, they are a dark horse team. Rather than anything else. I think that's the thing that should be stressed with Triple Trouble, is that they are the 4th seed in Europe for a reason, and for that reason I don't see them going further than the quarterfinals.
Yeah, you gotta love Triple Trouble though. They're probably the fan favourites coming out of Europe, and like you said, the plucky underdogs. I'd love to see them go as far as possible. I mean, I'll spoil my predictions again a little bit. I've got them going to the semi-finals at the very least. But it'll be interesting. First LAN for them. They've been like you said, they've been working so hard to get to this point. Like same as Barcelona coming out of the rival series. Still no org, so it is still a
someone
real
pick them
struggle.
Up, please.
Yeah, please,
please, Fnatic,
please.
Come on.
Apparently, they just got to win a LAN, then they'll get picked up. So
yeah, easy boys, easy
just
times. But yeah, Triple Trouble. You can't deny that you love them. Honestly, they're so lovable, and I really wish the best of them. But I think it's my bias that's got them going so far. But in reality, thinking about it, maybe they won't get to day 3. Don't attack me, internet, please.
No, they'll get through to day 3, because I think we can pretty much all say out of that group they should take down low key, right? Even though we all saw that Bim Bam playstyle and how Triple Trouble struggles against Bim Bam. No, they'll be fine. But for them to get to the semis, I think there's got to be an upset in their group stage, and they've got to come out top, which against Cloud9 is a pretty slim one.
Yeah. I might have them winning that.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough time for Triple Trouble. I certainly think. They have sort of drawn the short straw in regards to that particular group. I don't think the upset against Loki as it is as likely as the PSG versus In subset. But I do think there's a lot of praise to be sung for this particular squad and the way that sort of like they've conducted themselves over time. They certainly have been a team on gradual improvement. So maybe they might not win this World Championship, but they might be able to win the next one if they continue working, or the one after that potentially. If they continue working and continue growing in the way that they have been growing so far. And from what I understand, the team mentality is not quite the same as regular Rocket League, where one season comes by, you don't quite make it into the championship, and you're going to make a roster move anyway. So, it doesn't quite work like that from my understanding of the way Triple Trouble have conducted themselves. Certainly their lineups through history and then the way that roster moves have been made have always been forced out of necessity or just sheer circumstances out of their control more than anything else. So I don't think that that's something that's going to happen. I don't think we're going to be seeing any of those three guys get traded out unless some big organization comes in and swoops up someone with a massive fuck-off salary or something. If they keep growing in the way that they're growing, then this is a team with a lot of potential going into the future.
And, well, when we look at it, the biggest thing that I see for orgs coming into Rocket League is they want a team that's going to be stable and hold up in RLCS, because we've seen the likes of Complexity drop down, now Mouse, all of that. Triple Trouble seemed fairly stable to me, so that's a good sign at least there if you're looking towards the history and reasons to come into Rocket League, because we know there are orgs that want in, but it's just a case of they want a team that's a top 4 team. Anything below that, they're not comfortable picking them up. So
yeah, I mean, you saw what happened with Evil Geniuses when they got relegated to Rival Series, and EG was just like, okay, bye, we're gonna go pick up someone else then. It is such a brutal industry to be in, but it be like that sometimes though. And sometimes
it's just cutthroat esports in short. There's the same thing with any other sort of like freelance or contract style work or any other sort of sport. If you can't perform, then you're going to be replaced by someone who can, essentially. Unfortunately, I just think it's a bit too far in the case of Rocket League, because there's a high expectation and not enough sort of competitions to try and meet that sort of expectation. To say, got to win LAN. Okay, which LAN? Oh, any LAN. Okay, well, we've got 2 coming up in the next couple months or in the next month or 2, so how much do you want us to win? Both of them? Oh, fuck. Well, we're definitely screwed on that front, aren't we? There's a very high expectation that not a lot of teams can meet due to the way that Rocket League's calendar and Rocket League as an esport is currently constructed by Psyonix. I'm hoping that the Epic buyout will help in that regard, but, for the time being, we're kind of stuck with what we got, and Triple Trouble, unfortunately, are the team that draws the short straw because of that,
Well, on that note as well, because you brought up EG, I was not expecting them to drop before Valencia, because EG had that safe spot. The org drops them, and I'm going to say it right now, Corrupted G and Classics have got a free spot to Valencia. That is fantastic for them. They can pick up a third and still show their worth, and if they do fantastic there, that's going to be good going into the RLRS next season, because they could get an org, pick them up over in the RLRS, because the American teams, they can get some orgs, pick them up in the RLRS, unlike EU. So we'll just have to see how that goes there. But it just seems very weird why they would drop them when there's still tournaments going on.
Yeah, still the off-season tournament, like you said. You got Valencia coming up. There'll probably be some other ones. I don't know if Universal Open's going to be a thing. That's been over the summer the last couple of years. So we'll see what happens in that regard. But yeah, the timing is a bit weird. But maybe they know something that we don't. The peeps are there in Championship Series now, so maybe they're going to get picked up by EG. Who knows?
We'll find a way to put Dripper into that one, though, so, we've got to figure that out. Because he's the only player that's still contracted to Evil Geniuses, so that's going to be a fun little thing.
Well, that was a fair point as well, because they've just spent all this money and all this time essentially bringing him over and getting him an American visa. They're not going to drop him, because that is such a waste. Yeah,
absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like, they're definitely going to try and find a way to get some sort of like form up some sort of squad around him, or otherwise sell him off to another team that wants him in America, in OCE, whoever wants to buy up that buyout price. I'm expecting I'm not sure what I'm expecting out of EG, but I think we'll see where the cards fall in that regard. But getting back to the LAN event and getting back to the World Championship, obviously we've gone through our 4 European teams. This is sort of like the storyline section. Are there any other teams that stand out to us out of the lineup that we have between NRG, Cloud9, everybody? You know, who is the team that you guys will be watching going into this?
Rogue. I think we could see an upset in their group. I think everyone else has picked Renegades to come out of Group C. I know this is like a little hint to later, but if you look back to Dallas and to Leipzig and that, Rogue have actually been improving quite a lot. Because remember, they only bought, it's only been a sort of recent development for them. And I could see Rogues maybe pulling off an upset and taking down the Renegades, but I don't see them going far in day 3, unfortunately. But it's still good for them going forward, you know, to be able to get to that level and not get knocked out in the group stages, not be the victim to OCE, which is always a little bit of a punch in the throat, you know, for a lot of teams to lose to an OCE or a South American team. It's a bit damning and shaming. Whereas if you can defeat them, get out of the groups, you're safe because the level at RLCS is so high otherwise.
See, I'd counter that, Bacon, and I'd say OC have been getting better over the last 4 or 5 lands now.
That's why I'm saying Rogue's the upset win there to beat Renegades.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's. I still wouldn't say it's shameful losing to an OCE team. Maybe a South American team, but certainly not an OCE team. Certainly not Renegades, I would say. I mean, I've got them going out of groups. But I will look at OC as a whole. They coming through as a region, like I said, been getting stronger. Now, Ground Zero. I don't have them going through, but I do have an upset in there, and I will explain a little bit more later on about why I think that. It's not a big explanation, but it's an explanation nonetheless.
All right, well, we'll save that. We'll save that for the we'll save that for the second half
I'm looking
of the
forward
show.
to seeing OC. OC is what I'm really looking forward to because they always surprise everyone.
And Jan, what about you?
Just quickly getting NRG out of the way. Do you believe that it might be their season, knowing how well they've been performing in the regular season over at NA, haven't lost a single series. So, and also they haven't dropped a single game in the finals either. So for them, this season has been something out of a dream, really. Yeah, just quickly looking at it, 4-0 Rogue, 4-0 Cloud9. That has to stand for something, although pretty close games all the way through. Other than that, I love European region for obvious reasons, but I'm excited to see South America finally join. I don't think their chances are that big, just like Oceania was, how it was starting. Really, nobody was expecting anything from them. Those were just the first seasons. So for now, Loki Esports and NC Sports, just interested to see how they measure up against the other teams. This is their first chance on the big stage. I think this is the first chance for them to actually play on LAN. If I'm not mistaken, the finals for South America were played online, just like basically for every single other region, with the exception of Oceania, I think. So for them, it's could be heaps of new experience, being able to play against the best of the best. And I doubt that in their own little biosphere, I suppose, some sort of a closed system, they will be able to get as good as the North American and European teams. It's still interesting to see how they work out. And for Oceania, I mean, Renegades, I just like a couple of you also have them coming out of the groups, and I think that they might be somewhat in an upsetting factor, not exactly winning the whole LAN kind of upsetting factor, but they still should be able to prove, especially knowing that the Renegades have World Championship experience on their team. Ground Zero Gaming also have Siki. Was that Siki actually? Or was that Jules? Let me quickly check. No, it was actually Jules. He was playing on Tainted Minds back in season number 5. So there is experience, and with that, they might come in and knock a couple of teams down a couple of pegs.
All right, then. Well, there you go. That's our big sort of preview section for the World Championship. Obviously, we're all going to be rooting for our boys in Europe, being RLAfterShock, the most EU fanboy podcast in the world. Of course, if you are also an EU fanboy, you can get involved via the Discord link that is in the show notes of the video descriptions of every single episode of the podcast. Or if you're watching on Twitch, it's !Discord in the Twitch chat. If you're brand new here, you can join our little community of active members. You can have a discussion. You can send us mailbag questions, which we might answer on next week's episode of the show, where we do round up the results from the World Championship. But for the time being, we're going to get into our prediction show, or prediction section of the show, I should be saying now. Last season, we ran this. It was a lot of fun. It was quite curious to see all the different predictions that we had. Obviously, Craftman was on that show back when it was still a double elimination bracket. We've had to change up some of the rules and change up some of the various different elements of how this is going to work with a new group stage format and a single elimination format. So I will explain very briefly how this is all going to work down. What we have done is we've got all the hosts and our guests, of course, to fill out a different spreadsheet, which will be brought up on screen in a short few moments so you can see how everyone's predictions went down. And there's a certain level of points, a certain number of points that you can get for each correct prediction. And there's predictions to make on who's making it out of groups, who's making it far in the bracket, and who's going to be winning each match in the group stage. So it's a point for every successful result in the group stage matches, 3 points for each team pick that moves from the group stage into the playoffs, and then 5 teams for each correct team that will be in the semi-finals of the playoffs, 7 points for each team that are in the grand finals of the playoffs, and 9 points for picking the correct champion. So I think there's a total of about 76 points in total to gain between all of us. And again, we'll be announcing the winners of that challenge next week. For now, though, we're going to start off with talking about the group stage matches. Who wants to go first on this one? Who wants to present their group stage to the fine folks of the panel and of the audience here?
Not me.
Okay, I'll take a bite. I'll buy it. So for me,
Here you go.
I'm thinking for Group A, like we said, NRG and PSG go through, Insta and out. Like I said, there is the capabilities for Insta knock out PSG, but this is a fairly given one. Group B, I reckon, is a safe one as well, but I reckon this is where the upset comes in, because there is always one, and it comes from G2. Like I said, I think G2 are ramping up. They're not going to win, but they'll get an upset here, and it will be taking down Vitality. G2 coming top out of group, and Vitality coming second. Go to Group C. Again, Barca, we're all thinking of favourites, and that's easy. And again, another upset where I think Rogue will beat out Renegades. Go to Group D. Cloud9 and Triple Trouble. I've got low-key are good, again, for South America, and you could see the upset there for Triple Trouble. But Triple Trouble is so passionate, and on LAN, I think this is going to really fire them up.
So I think the main sticking point for me in this one has to be that Renegades result. I do agree with the idea that Rogue probably have had a decent improvement state over the course of the last season, but at the same time, their season has also been pretty shit. I'm not gonna lie. They finished barely within the table to get it into the playoffs, and they did have a 4-0 against Space Station, but they also had a confidence series against Space Station, and against the European teams, I don't think Rogue have ever had sort of a confident showing, at least according to my knowledge. I don't know if anyone wants to correct me on this, whether I'm, not whether or not I'm sort of like correct or not. I mean, you guys can sort of chime in and correct me at any particular point. But that's the one result I have to say is probably just not right from my perspective.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I think Renegades are going to be a little bit too strong in LAN. I've got them beating Rogue as well. Who was it yourself, Bacon, there early on that was saying Rogue are starting to make a bit of a comeback? I mean,
they're starting to improve. Right, if we look to Renegades, guys, coming from, just look to Dallas, for example, because that's our most recent LAN results. They 3-0 Uncharted, a NA bubble team. They lose 3-1 to Dignitas, and then 3-0 Splice. Splice had, I can only say, a pretty bad Dallas.
Sorry, gentlemen, I'm afraid I'm going to have to interrupt you. We've got breaking news.
Of course. What is it?
Oh, shit. So,
Turbo officially released.
Yep. Craig, if you can bring this up on screen for me, this would be fantastic.
We knew this was coming.
Turbopolsa officially released from Dignitas. Holy fuck. Well, sacrilege has taken place, Bacon. Yourself...
Thank God. It needed to happen. Turbo was getting way too frustrated, and it was killing the team. I've already said it.
So yeah, how many people have actually expected Turbopolsa to leave? Because the changes were needed on Dignitas, surely. They could have worked it out through, but I don't think that's going to be happening. So how many of you expected Turbopolsa specifically to leave?
I thought
he was going to be leaving instead of K-Dot last season.
Yeah,
K-Dot got out of there early. He could see he could see the trouble coming.
I always thought Turbopolsa was a little bit of a trouble on that team. Like you said, with his sort of frustrations, with his tweets especially, And then if you've seen it like Facecam when he's on like a LAN, if they're losing, he just goes completely deadpan and completely dead and stops talking. That must hurt the team so much. And yeah, he had to go, but I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting it.
No, I don't think anyone was really. It's really. I mean, the changes were required. Like there was a change that needed to be made, but just the fact that Turbo himself, possibly one of the greatest players to ever touch the game, is going. I mean. That's such a shocking sort of like idea to me, you know. Like he's probably one of the guys that probably works the hardest and worked the hardest to get his 3 World Championship victories. So the idea that they replace him, like maybe it's not quite working. I think I'm just gonna have a quick read through the screenshot. Obviously, we've not seen this at all. We've not prepared for this particular part of the podcast whatsoever. So I'll just quickly read through the image posted by Dignitas. Following the conclusion of RLCS Season 7, the Dignitas Rocket League team will be mutually parting ways with Pieri, Turbopolsa, Sylvia. The decision comes out as one of the greatest legacies in Rocket League history has started to fade. Something not uncommon in esports for teams that have played together for years. Dignitas is in search of a new star, so we can start writing our new history. Turbo, who can make a strong case of being the best player in Rocket League history, is in search of a new adventure. We couldn't be more proud to be a part of Turbopolsa's rich history. Only Mr. 3-time with a Forbes 30 under 30 award to his name. It's safe to say that Turbo has left his mark on the Rocket League scene and wrote his place in Dignitas' 15-plus year history. So it sounds to me that this was definitely a mutual decision between Turbo and the team. So it makes it kind of does make sense that the idea that maybe they weren't feeling that sort of way, based on the fact that Turbo's also retweeted this. It doesn't seem like there's any particular drama between this one. Now he's happened. He's come up and he's. He supported it apparently based on his own social media. Again, from the very little information we have to go off of from this literally just breaking story. But again, I think it comes as a massive shock because no one fucking expected it. But as the press release says, you know, it is a legacy that was starting to dwindle by the end of it.
Yeah, and they say in the post that he has been starting to fade, and you have seen it when he's been on LAN, especially during the season, because Dignitas didn't win a series until like week 3, week 4, something like that. And I remember, I think it was just before the promotion playoffs, or maybe even before the last week or 2 of RLCS, and Turbo said, if we don't make it, or actually, he said, if we don't make it to LAN this year, or this season, I don't know what I'll do. So maybe this is the beginning of the end for Turbopolsa, full stop. I don't know. I don't see that, but it's on the table, I'd say.
I don't say it's the end of Turbo straight up. Like, I think that certainly he's got a bit more career left in him. I think that probably a roster move is the best thing for him to try and see if he can experiment and potentially move on with that. I think actually that comes to question another thing, Bacon, because we talked about this. We talked about this, didn't we? There was our little leak, didn't we mention it? You know, a couple of weeks ago.
This coming up on Speed's stream a little earlier today. If you guys didn't see this, a lot Speed and Cooks here are playing at Valencia together. Now, the rumor was that Turbo was going to go join Mouse in the RLRS, of course, and replace it was Alex there. Now, if a lot Speed and Cooks here are playing together, does a lot take Mouse with him, the org, and they reclaim an RLCS team here because Speed and Cooks here aren't signed, like they're on an orgless team. What is going on there?
Yeah, a lot has tweeted that he is playing with Speed and Cooks. So yeah, that is official.
Holy shit. Well,
if it's natural, I could see this being a logical move.
It is quite convenient how that has sort of worked out in the way that it kind of has, you know, with Mouse Sports kind of naturally falling apart. What does that mean for the remainder of that roster? Who is left on Mouse Sports? What was it? We've lost a lot, and we've lost Alex. No, it's not Alex. No, it was Alex.
Alex hasn't been confirmed a lot. It was thought that he'd be being dropped.
All right.
No, he confirmed it.
Alex, did he?
Tigre is the only remaining player.
Yeah, so Tigre is the last remaining player. So, holy shit.
Let's not forget that on the side of the breaks,
this plan
Mystic is
turns
also
it
the third player.
And because Speed was only replacing Alex at Dallas. So unless this turns it all around and Tigre goes, look, I don't want to qualify again, come back, Alex, and we'll pick up a new third. Who knows? Maybe Mystic, because he's getting dropped if this happens in this way. You know, like, it's that sort of case of up until
gone
sign-ups close for next season, it's all up in the air. Anything can happen, you know? So you can't just say, yeah, Alex said he's leaving, or whatever. I can't remember seeing that.
We discussed it on the fucking podcast, Bacon. Like, literally.
No, we discussed that we reckon he's going to be leaving and it'll be someone else picking up his spot there, which was Turbo in that mindset. But
well, yeah, it does leave that whole hole of if a lot does move to the bricks and potentially bring Mouse Sports to come and pick this particular team up, replacing Mystic instead. Yeah, it does seem like there's a little bit of breathing room in terms of, or it does seem like there's like a little bit of breathing room in terms of RLRS placements. And I do want to question, like, if we do go down that route, of Tigre and Turbo teaming up with Mystic, what are the chances that will actually end up doing well? Of course, it's pure speculation at this stage. We have no idea if this is an official roster or whether it's even being theorized at the moment. What do we think about the potential of that particular team?
I was never saying Tigre and Turbo mixing up with Mystic. I was just saying, like, the way you would see it is that Alex would stay with Tigre to keep a hold of that spot secured in RLRS, and then one of the RLCS players or whoever would be dropped down, because there is speculation that we could see a couple of RLRS players move up to RLCS, so that means the others have to come back down.
Yeah, that's what I was about to mention as well. If a lot does leave Mouse, or leave Tigre, and go with Speed and Cooks, Tigre loses that RLRS spot unless Alex comes back. So it's a tricky one, and I think we're going to see. I think we're going to have a lot of open spots for rival series, not just the
unless
available.
Tigre is sub for that team.
That's true, which means they have to drop Junior as well. I don't know if
subs aren't really counted, but who knows? We could see a little difference here. Could be the first team to pull out a proper sub.
Of the roster. Yeah, it'll be a complicated one. It'll be interesting to see what works out, and obviously we'll keep track of that over the coming weeks here on our LAFterShock. Thank you.
That's my fucking job.
Thanks, Dexter, for finding the tweet for me.
Just becoming. The
Alex
host.
did say he was leaving.
But yeah, sorry, what was that, Bacon?
Alex did say he's leaving. Dexter in chat found the link for us.
Oh,
so thanks.
He found the link for you, mate, because you're the one who forgot.
When it after the actual show that he did put out that tweet though, because it was like last week.
Yeah, because remember we had to insert it into the fucking after the fact.
Yeah,
remember?
Yeah.
I can't believe you fucking forgot that shit. Holy crap.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's safe to say
it's been a fucking
that.
Busy week.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's safe to say that Tigre is losing that rival series spot. So we'll see what happens, and then maybe I could see a lot Cookser and Speed making it to. Well, actually, no, they would be in rival series already. Or no, they held on to championship.
They would get. There's been
a lot going on.
If it's that team, if they continue as that free into next season, they would get the brick spot.
Yeah.
Because it's Mystic getting removed.
That's
and like I said, you could see Mouse pick up that org. Because a lot only got signed last season, so I very much doubt he's on a 6-month contract. He seems like a smart enough guy to, like, you know, add in a break clause if it was that he would get paid out for it. And both Tigre and Alex have been signed for a year and a half now, 3 seasons technically. So that is probably why Alex was leaving, is run out his contract and they know they're not re-sign him. So, like I said, it's all up in the air. If it happens this way, then Tigre and that spot is closed out. And we've got the first time in EU that we'll have 5 spots for RLRS up for grabs, which would be really cool.
I mean, this is completely manic, completely insane. We're about to find out how things are going to turn out in regards to the boys over from Dignitas and Mouse Sports. We have been speculating these moves for a while, and it seems like maybe this might be the first wheel that puts in motion the new changing of the guard for next season. Of course, we're bringing you all those updates and all the roster moves from the new Roster Mania coming up, the inevitable Roster Mania at this stage for the for the Rocket League esports scene. But let's get back to the main point of the podcast. Obviously, we are still doing our World Championship prediction game. Let's go back to who are we talking about? Bacon's thing. Where were we on that?
I finished up my group discussion. It was essentially Renegades versus Rogue, and I want to say probably my thoughts that G2 could do an upset on Vitality here. They're the only two off-key points from everyone else.
Okay, let's move on to Jam then. Talk us through your groups.
Well, for Group A, I think it's not a big surprise that NRG and PSG are going through. As much as I would like to see Ints make some sort of an impact, I still feel like it's not theirs just yet, especially with a strong group like that one. For Group B, it's Vitality and G2. Same thing as with Group A. The second team, this time from Oceania, I don't think they're going to get through. Vitality is one of my top teams for the whole LAN. G2, well, have their ups and downs. They're still that big team. Rizzo, JNAPS, and Chicago. For Group C, I went against Bacon, but I think together with everyone else, I'm thinking that Renegades will be that shocker that will bring one of the NA team down. And really, I haven't seen Rogue making that kind of a blip on a map. I mean, yes, they're qualified for LAN, but looking at everyone else...
They're constantly going to Game 5 with the other NA sides. That's what I'm saying and basing a lot off now.
It's
like,
close.
That's a massive improvement.
It definitely can get close for them. Still, I feel like this might be... Well, this is a point of contention. Either one or the two. I'm going to side with Renegades for this one. I think the quality that they brought in their own season playing over in their region was pretty strong. Torsos and Kami just constantly getting a ton of goals. Zen is working out tirelessly to get those goals going with his assists. So a pretty solid squad all the way through. But for Group D... I think I'm the only one who has considered this, and I just need to go a little bit against the grain, perhaps, or just throw in an upset there. I think that Loki is going to go through instead of Triple Trouble.
That is a ballsy fucking prediction. That
Indeed.
is ballsy as fuck.
Maybe it will pay off. Maybe it won't. And especially considering what I said about the South American region, about saying this is their first LAN. This is the first time outside of their region really testing their mettle against all the top teams. They might as well fall through. And yet I feel like they might get it. There's a chance. Triple Trouble, while being a strong team, as you folks have said, that they are on the rise, slowly working it through. And obviously, getting into LAN after just qualifying from RLAs is a big thing. Just like Barcelona, I don't think they're on the Barcelona level. Not that many teams are at this point. Yeah. So I think this is the big upset for me. I don't see a low-key moving anywhere further than the quarterfinals, where they're, in my bracket, or at least playing against Barcelona. But I think I'm going to stick with this one with Group D and Cloud9 getting in through the first spot and Loki getting in through the second.
I can back Jam on this, actually. I think this
fuck?
could happen.
Are you crazy? There's no fucking way.
LAN nerfs a Triple Trouble could be a thing.
Nah.
And low-key, if you've seen their sort of, like I said, the very South American Bim Bam style, if that article is actually correct, which I think is BS, I'll ear hat, whatever, that sort of thing. But they went into the finals for South America as the second seed, came out on top, knocking down Ints 4-1 in the grand finals. They've got endurance, and they went, undefeated because they went for the top bracket. Low-key are literally a low-key team to watch out for, and I think the future South American team that could cause havoc, a bit like Renegades from OCE. So this is a possibility. I've not put it down as I think it will happen, but I could see it.
Your keyword, the keyword that I'm going to pick out from you there, Bacon, is future team. For this LAN, I do not think this is happening. I think this may be the most outlandish prediction of all the ones. Like, the Ints versus PSG one upset that we kind of talked about and discussed and potentially theorized about. Like, I can understand why that comes in because PSG are not a strong LAN team. Triple Trouble, though, are probably top 4 at the very least in Europe right now.
And not played at LANJersey.
That is true. That is true.
Actually, no, didn't. They did go to Leipzig, and how well did that go for them? Should we just say? Knocked out in day 1.
Were they? No, they fucking were. They made it out of day 2.
Pretty sure they got knocked in day 1.
Hold up. I'm gonna verify this real quick. 1 second.
Triple Trouble.
Or Triple Trouble.
Triple Trouble.
Triple Trouble made it to day 2.
Did they?
Oh no, they got knocked out by Echo Zulu at the last second. You're right about that. Fuck.
Oh, so they did. Oh. That's
Okay, this is
disappointing.
true.
Jam,
At the same time,
I'm feeling smug with you, thank
at
you.
the same time, at the same time, right? They also they did have a very, very fucking difficult group that they had to go through. Obviously, Triple Trouble faced Mousesports and Dignitas in the upper bracket of those, and they obviously lost to Dignitas,
yes.
the eventual tournament winners. And then they took on Echo Zulu, who had that insane run of their own right. So there are caveats and asterisks put next to that particular result when it comes to Triple Trouble individually and completely isolated from the rest of them. And yeah, like and this is also considered right. The last time that they went to was not Valencia, was Leipzig. Right, that was the last event they went to because they haven't been to Dallas. Obviously, they couldn't quite get there. I don't think we've seen another LAN event actually since that, other than Dallas, to be honest. So they haven't, there's not a lot of LAN experience to go around, especially for Triple Trouble, who have been playing in the online qualifiers, and yes, not being able to go the distance against the European teams. But again, this is South America's first season. I think that their only upset potential there is for PSG, right? Triple Trouble is solid. Even though it is a LAN environment, online they have been solid. In general, they've just been a solid squad. I think this is literally the most far out conclusion and the most far out sort of prediction that you can make in this group stage. And I see you shaking your head, Bacon, but I'm going to disagree with you on that one. Crafters, it looks like you agree with me as well.
Yeah, I'm very much on your side there. To be honest, if there was going to be an upset like that, I'd love to see it against Cloud9. That'd be fantastic.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, it'd be amazing. But Triple Trouble just on LAN. Yes, they don't have as much experience as some of the other teams. Let's not include South America in that. They don't have as much experience as some of the other European and North American teams. But I still think they'll do better than the lowest ranks, well, at least coming into the LAN South American team in Loki. So yeah.
Well, on
Jam,
that note, can we jump to
I'll give you
bracket
it's a bold,
just
it's a
because
very
this is
bold
a great
prediction.
contrast point.
Yeah, it's a very bold prediction, Jam, and I commend you for taking it, but nah. Anyway, shall I talk about my groups then?
Yes, let's do it.
Yeah, so Group A, same as everyone else. NRG coming out on top, and then I got PSG just beating Ints for the second place in that. Now, last night I did have PSG beating NRG for some reason, and then I thought, why did I pick that? That's not happening. And I changed it back to
Like we said,
NRG
you had
beating
PSG winning everything, dude.
Oh
and
yes, I did. I think the fatal mistake I made was putting PSG first in groups, and then they had an easy run to the final.
That is true.
Yeah, so
That's a strong spot.
flip it around. Put PSG up to where NRG is, and they've got a relatively easy run. Anyway, Group B got Vitality, G2, and Ground Zero. Now, I've got Vitality beating GZ, but G2 beating Vitality, because I think Vitality, like we've been saying, not the strongest showing from them in the last couple of months. I think they will slip up. I still think they'll get through as the number 1 seed. And then I've got GZ, Ground Zero, beating G2.
This is very, very weird here, Mr.
Beg your
Craftman.
pardon.
Yes, I still have Ground Zero not making out of the groups, but I have that upset in there because I will say this, there is always an upset, and this is my upset. I think there is always an oceanic upset.
Jam
They
looks
always beat an American team, and I think Ground Zero could do it. I genuinely think they could do
But
it.
Renegades are
It'll
your
have to go
OC upset,
No, actually,
not
4 games
GT.
because it'll be 4 games because you can't take G2 to game 5, as the American commentators always say. Ground Zero, I think, will upset G2 in the groups. They still won't make it through to the final stage, but I've got them upsetting.
That is very, very. You know what? I think that might just contain with the low-key Triple Trouble upset there with the most outlandish prediction result.
See,
Holy fuck.
I think I'm in the same.
That's
I'm in the
worse,
same
I think.
vein. I think it's in the
I
same
should also
vein
add, by the way.
as.
Sorry, I should also add real quick before we go any further that this also completely throws off kilter your Group B seedings, because that means that depending entirely on the game difference, we could be seeing a completely different top seed, second seed, and third seed coming out of that group. So, Craftman, you may have backed yourself into a bit of a corner here. I can see you coming
because everyone's won 1 game and lost 1 game, so it doesn't really work. But I've put Vitality as the
the
first
whole
seed because I
broken
think
format in this groups. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, I think Vitality will have the better game difference. It is game difference they break it on, yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Game difference first, and then matchup. I think it is.
Right. Okay.
Which would be really funny
I've
because
got
this still
Vitality
opens
winning
up
that
plenty of
tiebreaker.
opportunities to fucking tie it up in general. It's like, oh,
yeah.
fucking hell. So, continue,
please,
Craftsman.
Oh, please! I would love to see a tiebreaker
Yeah.
that comes down to
Oh
a
my
coin
god,
flip.
mate! I can't wait for it. 'Cause it's just, as soon as that
A
happens,
tiebreaker
right?
that comes down to most boost used. That's what it'll come down to.
Mate, as soon as we see a three-way tiebreaker in 1-1 in the entire group stage, I'm just gonna I'm just gonna get Trox to spam the Twitter with all of those clips of saying we need the GSL system for the entire week after the fact. Right, just be like every day at least one video posted saying we told you so, we fucking told you so. Craftman, move on to Group C for me, please.
Okay, Group C, I've got Barcelona coming out on top, beating Renegades and Rogue, and then I've got Renegades beating Rogue as well. I think again, Oceania have a step up on those lower ranked American teams, so I've got Renegades beating them as the first seed out of Oceania, so they'll go through to get day number 3. Sorry, Rogue, you're staying in the first 2 days, so sorry about that. R.I.P. Kronovi died for this. Group D.
It's only a small mountain now.
Yeah, it's only a small mountain. I've got Cloud9 and Triple Trouble moving through. Low-key gets dominated by C9 and Triple Trouble, but I've got Triple Trouble beating Cloud9 for some reason.
Well, for what reason
Again,
specifically?
for some reason. What is the reasoning?
I like Triple Trouble.
Just pure
Bias.
want, is it? Like,
Bias.
come on, guys. Right, if we
I'm
were
not gonna
here
lie,
going,
it's
who
bias.
do we want to win LAN? I think
Triple
we'll all
Trouble.
agree Triple Trouble, right?
Yes.
But want is not who will win LAN. That's the problem.
But I like them.
Is that literally your only motivation for picking this fucking team? Oh my god, Crawford, really?
No, okay. Okay,
hey.
let me try and come up with a good reason. Cloud9 are the world champions. Wait, hang on. Oh, fuck.
You started off on the wrong foot, mate.
Do you know what?
Cloud9
I'm
who just
running with
won
it. Do you know what?
Dallas,
Let's go with it. Let's go, TT. Let's go. Let's beat Cloud9. Let's do it.
Jesus.
Actually,
Mate,
no,
if
there
they-
is the
mate, if they
Champion's
do it.
Curse.
It is the
Isn't
champions
there?
curse. Thank you, Bacon.
They just beat
Thank
Dallas.
you for coming up.
I'm
Wow.
giving him a reason. We're clutching at straws here.
I mean, that is one far out fucking like reach into the abyss of like dead
Yeah.
topics to talk about in the Rocket League scene. That's up there with EU versus NA and everything of how many people are sick and tired of hearing about Champions Curse. That
big
being
three,
said,
yeah.
though, over the course of Rocket League history, there is only one team that has ever been able to evade Champions Curse, and that of course is the Dignitas Gale Force side. So maybe it is to the thing that we should talk about.
Yeah, but
I don't
that's
know.
when you've got
I mean,
6
you
months
can
difference
kind
in
of-
tournament time.
Yeah, and you can also kind of claim that Gale Force had the champions curse and just they're all completely exploded. But we'll leave that to one side. Just focus on the players.
That was more of an implosion, really, from internally. You know?
Yeah.
And actually, Gale Force went on, didn't they, to win Universal Open? That
Yes,
time, wasn't
they
it?
did. Yes, they did.
So, boom.
Now,
That
and then
was-
again, Universal
that
Open
was
is a
just
2v2
Turbo.
tournament, so I'm not even sure that it even counts.
Yeah, I think that that was just Turbo and Panda, wasn't it? Or was it
Yeah.
Turbo and or rather Panda and
No,
was
Panda
definitely Panda.
and
was it
K-Dot.
Turbo?
wasn't it?
Was it K-Dot?
Turbo weren't there.
Panda and K-Dot,
Pretty sure.
indeed.
I don't care. 2v2 tournaments suck. Right, okay. So, yeah, I will say that is probably... I mean, it's not as far gone as the low-key result. I'm going to say that for certain crafters. I do think that there's a chance that Triple Trouble could do it against Cloud9. I just don't think it's a very high chance. But regardless, that's your prediction.
Frostbite said in the chat there, TT have triple in their name, therefore they will win a group of 3.
Frostbite coming in with the 200 IQ comments right there. Right, well, let's talk about
you're fucking okay with that reason, but Champion's Curse, no. Screw you, Jay.
He doesn't like the cliche.
No,
It's the
right.
cliche.
All I'm saying is that at least it's a new conversation, right? If we took that to Reddit and said Champions Curse, someone is going to say, fuck you, Championships Curse is like an old thing, and you should never talk about that on the podcast. And it's like, well, fuck you too, but whatever.
Old
Anyway.
thing, Dignitas won bloody Leipzig and
That's
then
what I'm
destroyed
saying.
themselves.
That's
So
what
Champions
I'm
Curse is
saying.
not an old thing.
No, that's not what I'm. That's not what I'm saying, right? I'm saying that they're the only
Stop
champions
giving
that have ever
reasons
been able.
that go against
right,
my point.
Shut the fuck up. I'm gonna go through my goddamn prediction. Right, Group A. I've got NRG and PSG coming out as top. NRG with the first seed. PSG losing to them, but Ints going out against both those sides. Group B, Vitality and G2 coming out, with G2 actually losing to Vitality on the LAN. I do admit that actually there's potential that G2 could actually beat Vitality in that regard based off of Vitality's own performance at the last Dallas LAN and how disappointing that was. Again, I'm not really sure how far they'll go in terms of the LAN itself. And then for Group C, Renegades and FC Barcelona come out on top, with FC Barcelona, of course, being the 2-0 team, Renegades beating Rogue, similar to how Kraftman's group played out. And then Cloud9, Triple Trouble. Again, I got Cloud9 going out as the top seed. And Triple Trouble beating out Low Key, but losing to Cloud9 to take the second seed. So, there you go.
Yeah, very safe.
This is like the first time Jay's not been edgy, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, this is a ham and cheese sandwich. It is the safest pick.
Yeah. I guess
to be fair, actually, my lunch has been consisted of ham and cheese sandwiches as of late, so that's probably the reason why.
Oh.
Fuck me, you're blind.
I was going to say maybe the only out there, the most out there pick is the Renegades over Rogue, and to me that's a coin flip game anyway. So
yeah. Well, also, I'd say that the
G2
G2 Vitality matchup could also be a coin flip match again because of Vitality's recent performance on LAN. That's the only thing that I could really see being the major sort of like chink in the armor for my group stage predictions.
The problem is, I can also see Vitality just sweep everything at LAN if they've got over their problems of essentially just being too damn cocky. You know?
Yeah, they need to be brought back to earth a little bit, and I think Dallas might have given them the kick in the teeth that they really need. Yeah, humbling, we'll use that. But of course, egos are a thing in that team and in esport. Greg. I hope he doesn't watch this. I'm sorry, Greg, and I love you.
I don't think he does.
Don't worry, he's too busy getting some water.
Sorry, can someone explain the whole water joke for me? I'm a little bit out
I think
of
it was Scrub Killer put a tweet out about something about being like there wasn't enough water at Dallas during the LAN, so like they were trying to make there was a meme going around of Gregan being the coach manager and water boy of Reno Vitality.
Oh yeah, I think I saw the picture like water.
It was
boy
essentially
and then,
Gregan wasn't going to pay for a bottle of water for Scrub when there was like water fountains in the venue or something like that, and he was like, "No, I'm not paying it."
I mean, in fairness, that probably is more of a budget thing on Vitality's part rather than Gregan himself just being a picky bitch. So, you know, let that meme kind of die, I think.
Well, then Scrub can just expense his own fucking water. You know, why does it have to be Gregan? Like, that's just sort of, for me, that's a lot of disrespect to Gregan there. Like, he's your manager, but he's not your water boy, you know? Yeah. And anyway, DreamHack, like Leipzig and all the other DreamHacks give you those fancy little cardboard water cartons that look like it should really be smoothie. Why did Dallas not have that? That was a bit odd.
I mean, probably on the venue, to be honest.
I mean, yeah,
even
it's
then,
sort
there should
of
be bottles of water.
I mean, to be fair, right, it's the manager's job to make sure the players are, you know, all set and ready, to make sure that their meals are good, to make sure they're getting on their flights, to make sure that everything's looking, you know, all right. And I mean, this is a manager in the context of esports. You know, managers in other sports are completely different. But you know, that it kind of technically is Gregan's job to do that. Again, I think there's more behind it though, because it does seem like a bit of a silly sort of management decision to say that. But at this point, I digress because we've got to move on with our predictions because now that's our group stage. We're going to go to our playoff bracket, and again, we'll start with Bacon on this one. Obviously, with your Renegades pick out of the way, that means that your bracket's going to look a little bit different to most of ours. So talk us through your quarterfinals and then tell us your semifinals and why you opted for those.
Yeah, so I can see you noticed Frostbite's question there as well. I'm the only one that thinks Rogue's going through. Plus, I think I'm the only one that thinks Vitality is coming second out of the group. So the first match will be NRG top seed going up against Vitality second seed. I think Vitality is going to do that, and this will be the one where NRG, because they're a bit like Vitality, they have the problem of poop in the bed sometimes, and both of them, it's very much match dependent. It's not a day-long thing. After that, I reckon C9 will take down Rogue. That's a fairly safe bet there. G2 taking down PSG. I reckon this is going to be a great tournament for G2. And Barca taking down Triple Trouble. Barca is always Triple Trouble's bogey team. We know that. Like, that is a fairly consistent thing going into the semi-finals. C9 have been so good at the moment. I'm going against the whole Champions Curse thing. again, Jay, I reckon C9 will take down Vitality, go to the finals. Barcelona versus G2. I reckon Barca's got that. And then C9 versus Barca. I'm banking on Barca doing it. I think they've been in such good form. They're such a strong side. But if this was to go any other way, I reckon it would be C9 taking over Barca in that final. That's the only thing I'm still holding off on, really.
And you think Barca are going to be the team that make the championship, right?
Yep. Barca are my champions.
Yeah, the only thing I'd nitpick out of that is the Vitality NRG match. I think I had that when I had that match up until I switched Vitality to first seed. I just can't see NRG and Vitality meeting that early, and I don't see Vitality taking down NRG.
But that's the
drama.
drama.
Well, that's the thing, though, right? It's because the way Group A's first seed meets Group B's second seed. So I think it's more of a seeding issue than a prediction issue, because
Yeah.
I think there's a chance that, again, with Vitality's performance on LAN, with the way that we've seen that might be the most likely upset of the entire group stage, that probably actually could end up being a reality. So I don't think it's necessarily like a bad prediction on Bacon's part, but more just sort of the way that the seedings are a little bit messed up, which of course is going to be hard to do in a 12-team group stage. But hey ho, what the fuck are you going to do?
Yeah.
So
I think
yeah,
it just feels wrong that they. I think that would be the first match on day 3 as well. It just feels wrong to me. But yeah, I even despite that being a bit too early, I would still pick NRG over Vitality there. Again, it could happen. I think those are best of 7s, aren't they?
Yeah.
Going into that day, yeah. Best of 7 seed.
And
yeah,
I
I'd take
see that
NRG.
as well. I reckon this will be a long series. But
Yeah, I think
it'll be
it'll
the
go all
day.
the way.
It'll be the
It'll go
one
all 7.
NRG don't live up to that promise again, because they've been, especially at RLCS, they've not had, by Landon, great results. RLCS's, the finals anyway, have always been their downfall upon everything, and I reckon that will continue here.
Actually, quick correction: the quarterfinals are best of 5s.
Are they?
Are they?
Oh, are they? Ooh. Okay.
whoops.
Once again,
Just
again,
look at-
the group stages
feel
should have
the
just
mood
been
in the room die.
double limb, top 4 out of 2 groups of 6 go through. I'd much rather that than this 3-team round robin. Yikes. 12 teams
best
is
of
an awkward
5?
number.
Yeah, we told this about this
Yeah.
fucking ages ago. So I mean, yeah, that kind of is a fucking given at this stage. But yeah, no, I'm going to chime in with Craftman and say, yeah, absolutely, that I think NRG probably would go above Vitality. Like, they've already done it on LAN as well. Back during Dallas, they'd met each other in the group stage of day 2, I believe it was. Yeah, it would have been day 2 because the seeding was pretty good for that tournament.
NRG 3-0'd Vitality there. Oof.
So yeah,
And it was
it feels
convincing.
like
Vitality only got 1 goal. NRG got a total of 7 across 3 games.
yeah, and that's the reason why I think NRG probably I would put NRG above Vitality. But that's your prediction, Bacon.
And
Let's
then
go on to
Vitality got ultra swept by Complexity.
Vitality 3-0'd
Yeah.
Renegades and then got 3-0'd by Complexity. Which...
Yeah, without scoring a single goal against
Yeah,
Complexity.
that LAN in particular was fucking atrocious for Vitality. I mean, it was not a very good time to be a Vitality fan. Sorry, Crafters, but
I'm going to put my
sound happy
Vitality
about
video
that.
on. I can't open my wardrobe because my monitor box is in front of it.
No.
First world problems.
First world problems, yeah. Jam, talk us through your bracket.
All right, so again, going from the top to bottom, NRG on their unbeaten run through North America, I think will once again beat their North American rivals in G2. Cloud9 versus Renegades. As much as I love the idea of Renegades beating Rogue in Group C, still not against Cloud9, not against the team that has won DreamHack Dallas. I think by this point they are actually the longest standing squad in RLCS. There have been a lot of squad swaps, but I do believe their roster has been together since 2017. If anyone in Twitch chat would like to correct me, please do so. I indeed might be wrong, but really, this is a team that has been sticking together for a long while, and the results have been showing as of late. So C9 over Renegades for that one. Vitality and PSG, I still consider Vitality right now to be on a roll, despite their sloppy performance over Dallas, loss of energy, Complexity, and Mouse out of all teams. But again, Speed was playing for Mouse in Dallas, wasn't he? And Speed just does something to the teams he's subbing for.
Like,
Yeah,
he
just-
is arguably, for me at the moment, one of the best players in EU, if not the best, with like how he can just change a team.
Yeah, so
He doesn't make the best team, though.
Still, and Barca against Loki, as I think that Loki
Oh, yeah,
will beat
this one.
TT out of Group D, but still it's Barcelona. Barcelona's currently on such fire that only few teams can stop them. Should I go forward through the semifinals as well?
Yeah.
Yep, go for the whole thing.
All right. So again, in the big North American battle, I feel like NRG would take one over Cloud9 again. Might be a close battle, knowing that the NRG hasn't really shown themselves in Dallas. But it might be a flip, but I'm going with NRG. I think this is their season. Vitality versus FC Barcelona. This is now the European battle. I do believe I've basically picked the top two NA, how they stopped NRG Sports,
Yes.
and then run Vitality in Barcelona. Yeah, indeed. I will go with Vitality. While Barcelona is strong, I still am considering that right now Vitality, this might be almost their season. But for finals, I'm going to pick NRG based on their matchups that have been happening as of recent. I'll go with NRG taking the whole thing, but I think that the finals might be the closest one you've seen. There won't be a bracket reset, unfortunately, and I would like to see them play 2 series in a row. Unfortunately, we're only going to see one best of 7, but maybe 7 games, in my opinion.
If I didn't have my G2 Vitality sort of hiccup match, whatever, where G2 comes out on top of that group, I would probably have a very similar bracket to this, is what I'd say, because for me, it means that Vitality and Barca don't meet each other. So for this sort of case scenario, I'm agreeing with Jam. I think this is a very plausible bracket.
Yeah.
I'd say the only real thing for me would probably be that FCB versus Vitality result. I do think that, yes, obviously history has confirmed that
Both
Vitality
semis can go either way when you look at that.
I think that if we do see this whole bracket playing out, then there's a good chance that honestly those 2 particular matches could go either way. But obviously, talking from experience and my sort of like sort of like my attention focus on EU, FCB again, there's that caveat of Vitality not doing well on LAN, and last time they faced off against each other in a best of 7, it did look relatively confident. I think from the Barca side, again, it was a bit of an awkward situation when they had to reverse sweep, but when they were looking good in getting games, they were getting a significant number of goals above Vitality, also winning out on overtimes and such, and they were a couple games off from getting the reverse sweep, which obviously, as we know, in best of 7 capacity is virtually impossible. So yeah, I could see a way in that particular result probably turning around, and if it does, assuming that NRG also make it through, I could also see a pretty close best of 7 between FCB and NRG that could go either way. I think that probably if they do, I would pin FCB to win out, but then again, I'm an EU fanboy, so what do I know? So that's my main sort of sticking point with that bracket.
Still, I would like to hear your guys' opinions, because I do know that every single one of you, sorry, spoilers, have picked Barcelona as the eventual winners. And so Boji and Bacon thinking that they're going to beat C9. So I'm just interested in seeing why Barcelona over C9, and for Crafters, why Barcelona over NRG. But again, let's get to that.
In the same sense, why NRG
play.
over Cloud9? Is it back from league play where NRG 4-0'd Cloud9? It was the last time, and it was a real crap day for Cloud9 there. So why do you think NRG will take Cloud9 is what I want to ask first there in the semis.
I mean, I feel just based on their performance in regulation season, yeah, that has been a while ago. But Cloud9 weren't doing that swell in the regulation season, and just with the form that NRG Esports have completely swept North America in season 7 rather. I feel like, man, they know their region in and out, and with that knowledge, I think they can repeat that performance again.
Yeah, so yeah, there's some solid picks in there, and I agree with most of them. I think the one I would flip would be the Vitality Barcelona match. That's the only one I think could go the other way. And then obviously that would give NRG in Barcelona in the final. I picked Barcelona in my final against NRG. But again, even if that were to happen, I would still pick NRG over Vitality in that situation. But yeah, some solid picks, Jam. I don't disagree with a lot of those. Yeah,
well, let's move on to your bracket, Craftman. Talk us through your entire thing from start to finish.
All right, so at the top we've got NRG and G2. I think we've pretty much said all we can about NRG, how solid they are, and how much of a powerhouse they are in North America right now. And I think they will take out G2. I think it will go all 5 games though, so it'll be very, very close. Next down, Triple Trouble and Renegades. I did pick Triple Trouble here, and again, this goes back to my slight bias. I think Renegades could take it, but I'm going to give it to Triple Trouble and maybe 4, probably 5. Down to Vitality and PSG. I've seen the error of my ways. Vitality are winning that match. Nothing more to say about that. And Barcelona, I've got them beating Cloud9 as well in the first round. So, because I don't think Cloud9 are back in their championship form. They are doing phenomenally well, but I don't think they're at the level that we saw them when they won the World Championship last time around. I don't think we're going to see the same.
They won Dallas a couple of weeks ago.
I don't think they're in that form.
Fair enough.
Shut up, Bacon.
Dallas was actually a very up and down tournament. We'll have to say
that's the thing. Like,
yeah.
I don't think a lot of teams were on their best form during Dallas, and I think Cloud9 snuck that victory away from potentially Vitality, who clearly went in their game, maybe away from Barcelona, who weren't having the best of days as well. So I think Cloud9 are going to be coming into this feeling a little bit cocky. So I don't think they're going to be.
Cloud9 3-0'd Complexity in Dallas though on that run, and Complexity were looking very good.
They were,
and I think Complexity are very similar to Barca in their playstyle. When you look at it, it's a lot of aggression.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I just think on the RLCS stage, something will. I think Barcelona have done so well in the RLCS space that they're going to have a lot of confidence, especially coming from a group where they've come first. Yeah. So I think they're going to take down Cloud9 in the first round. I just don't see Cloud9 getting through past Barcelona. I really don't see it. As for the semi-finals, NRG over Triple Trouble, I think Triple Trouble take maybe 1 game out of that, maybe 2 if they're lucky, but NRG will win that series fairly easily. And then the Vitality Barcelona, this is the game of high contention that we're looking forward to coming into this weekend. Everyone wants to see Vitality Barcelona. And I think Barcelona's going to come out on top because of the form Vitality are in. Yes, they have performed well in the RCS space. We'll see how things go days 1 and 2, and of course against PSG or whoever they play in the quarterfinals. But I'll take Barcelona over that in that matchup for now. I could see it going 6 or 7 games as well. Oh, yeah. It'll be close. It'll be really, really close though. And I think that'll be the game of the weekend. And then obviously the grand final, Barcelona versus NRG. I went back and forth on this, and I was so close to picking NRG. I really feel bad for NRG. I think they deserve a world championship, but I think Barcelona are just going to be a bit too strong, a bit too aggressive for them, and they're not going to be able to cope with the pressure that Barcelona put on. So I'm going to pick Barcelona on that one.
So knowing how close you were thinking those 2 teams were, you thinking 7 games as well?
Yeah, 7 easily. I could 6 or 7, at least 6. 7 for sure, but at least 6.
Yeah, but
that's it.
Barca have never beaten. Yeah, Barca have never beaten Vitality. That is it. Don't get me wrong. I'm very understanding. But I think the only way that FCB, for me personally, are losing this tournament is if they have to face up against Vitality, because it is the bogey team. Vitality's defense, now they break out and build up their plays, Barca just don't have an answer for, because they're way too spread out, and that bim bam style, of course, too fast. So it's the only... Vitality, like I said earlier, Barca are getting better and progressing and could take them down, is the only team I can't see personally myself Barca beaten.
My worry is, like, coming from a Vitality perspective, my worry for them is that they maybe get beaten and they lose the first 2 games against Barcelona, and then they get into a slump where they don't get their confidence back, they stop talking to each other. 'Cause I could see Scrub doing that quite a bit. Just sort of going into that mode where he's just like, I'm trying to focus, but I'm so down because we've just been beaten 2 games in a row. So maybe that's the one factor that could flip it. I think if Barcelona win those first 2 games, I could easily see them winning it. But Vitality, if they keep it there, I'll concede that and put Vitality in the final. But even with Vitality in the final, I think actually no, it came on to Jam's prediction. If Vitality in the final, NRG win. If it's Barcelona, they'll win, I think.
Awesome.
So yeah. What about you, Jay?
I mean, I've got my own explanation as to why I believe that honestly FCB could go over the Vitality side, but I'm about to talk about that because we're getting into my bracket now. Apologies, I didn't put I didn't put the fancy colours on my bracket. So yeah, I've started doing that by instinct because it gets down over here on my neck and it really itches. So I just have to keep flicking it back every now and then. So
by the way, just before you start that,
I'm not getting a haircut.
By the way, just before you start that, Bacon, did you have a bet to say as many bim bams on stream as possible today?
No, it's. Right,
you know when you get one,
yeah, no, it is that. You know when you think, oh shit, I've said that word, and then you keep saying it, you can't help it. Yeah, that's what I'm currently going through.
Fair enough.
And it is the description of that play style, anyway. So,
big fast.
So for my bracket, I've got NRG versus G2 at the top. I'm going to go NRG above this one. No problems with that one. Again, they have swept most of North America. Cloud9 beating Renegades. Again, also not much of a contest right there. Just I think Cloud9 are a better squad. Vitality PSG. We've already talked about how PSG tend to choke on LAN, and then obviously in day 3 at that stage, that probably will end up happening against the Thunderdogs of Vitality, who are objectively a better squad in my opinion. And Barca beating Triple Trouble because Barca is Barcelona. So there you go. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of dispute on that particular part of the bracket. But for my semi-finals, this might actually surprise a lot of people. I've got NRG going above... Cloud9 are going above NRG. Scratch that. I've made some mistakes, excuse me. But I've got Cloud9 going above NRG, and that might surprise a couple of people. And let me tell you why I've got that I've got that picked. I think that Cloud9 will be riding the waves of the Dallas victory. I know that Baker keeps getting tilted about this, and he keeps asking why the fuck, but... I think that even though NRG have had a great season and a great online form, the LAN form has been there from Cloud9 pretty consistently. Even going back to the days of was it DreamHack Atlanta? When they were known as the Muffin Men. Way back from that particular time. They've always been able to perform on LAN. And the World Championship, obviously, last season was theirs. Dallas was theirs. They made a deep run over in Leipzig. I think they're going to make a deep run in Valencia. And I think as a result, that against NRG, they should be able to make it to those finals. And then the other match, I've got Barca going above Vitality, which I think possibly is the most coin flip of the 2 semi-finals. Again, we've already talked about that. But the main reason why I'm talking about that is, and the main reason why I go above, I say Barca above Vitality, is because Barcelona are going up against Vitality, who have not had the greatest online performance, right? Again, Dallas was a fucking disaster for Vitality.
Never beaten Vitality.
I know they have never beaten Vitality, but I'm saying,
right.
I'm giving this prediction because I think this is the best chance that they have to beat them. Vitality, when they're not on 100%, when they're not looking like a team that could potentially be the best in the world, because they can do it online. We haven't seen them doing it on LAN yet.
Now, everyone doubting NRG apart from Crafters and Jam, I've just looked up a real cool stat. NRG this year is since the start of the year, have only lost 4 games.
Games or series?
4 series, sorry.
Okay.
It has been real dominant for them. We're including... They lost to Dig 3-0 at Dallas, lost to TSM 3-2 in Dallas, lost to Vitality in Leipzig, and lost to Flipside at WSOE. Those are the only 4 matches they've lost this year. And... they're fairly strong teams, bar maybe Dallas with Dig. So I'm there looking at my bracket and going, can Vitality really beat NRG? I'm
Well, the thing
questioning
about
my
it, I'm
quarters.
just gonna let me quickly scroll through a lot of these results and see how many times they faced up against Cloud9. So they beat them once at Leipzig when they played them on LAN. They beat them. Next time they beat them was at the Astronauts Cup, which is an online cup. Next time was RLCS, which is also online, and then. Yeah, at RLCS again
Twice
in the
at
playoffs.
RLCS.
So yeah,
Playoffs and that.
they've beaten
And
Cloud9
they've
all
been
4
very
times this year.
convincing, though.
They have been looking convincing, but again, it's the LAN aspect, right? And again, Cloud9 have a history are on LAN. Again, I'm not saying that this is going to be 100%, right? I do see the flaws in this particular plan, and yes, I am going a bit risky to try to get more points above you twats. But you know, that's just the way.
That's what we've all done. It is a bit like our throw-off one. It's like that's the only way you're going to win here is if one of those wild card matches, like Crafters saying that there's going to be the. Everyone winning one game in Group B and Triple Trouble being Cloud9. If that happens, he's probably won because it flips up everything.
Well, I will say, by the way, that the placements in the particular placement seeding in the bracket does not matter so long as the team makes it to the semi-finals or finals, then you get the points for it. So a little bit of leniency to make sure that the groups don't fuck everything up in the way the double elimination bracket did in the last prediction game. Moving on to my finals, obviously Cloud9 will take on Barcelona. Yeah, mate, we scored so few points in that prediction game. I'm not letting that embarrassment happen.
170 points up for grabs, and we got
40
15.
So fucking stupid. Right, so my grand finals was Barcelona versus Cloud9, and I picked Barcelona to go above them. And the pure reason for that is because it's the very aggressive style of Barcelona going up against the aggressive style of North America as well. And I think that Barcelona have it in them. I think that they are a team with a lot of potential. I don't think we've seen them play Cloud9 as of right now, at least not this year, according to my own personal memories. Obviously, EU versus North America, of course, it's going to be
They
a
played
bit of a
at
thing.
Leipzig, and it was still when they were under Savage, and Savage won that 3-0 against Cloud9.
Okay, well, there you go then. History also bides in my favour, so that's where I'm going. I'm going Barcelona to win the World Championship above Cloud9 in the way that this bracket plays out.
I jump in with what seems to be the breaking news. At least, there seems to be a confirmation that Mystic. Shall I say it? I mean,
go for it.
If anything, throw the blame at me and whoever added it to Wikipedia as well. Lucas, I'm looking at you. But apparently, Mystic is no longer on the Bricks roster, and there goes.
So basically, everything we were talking about earlier with a lot moving to the Bricks and leaving T-Grey is pretty much all not confirmed, but might as well be confirmed. Like it's almost
go back to the subject. If we're going to get anyone onto Bricks, I don't know why a lot. There are so many good players that I would rate over him. A lot's a great player, but I don't think it's going to work on this team. The only thing I can see, the reason why I've done it, is the Mouse Sports following a lot into this, and then they've got an org. And, for players, having a salary is a big, big thing. That's just natural. Getting paid every month and not getting paid is ginormous, when you got to live. But I don't know. The curse of a lot, dude. It is a big thing. We've seen it. 2 seasons in a row.
I don't know, man. It's like,
But Dallas, a lot with Speed and Tigray. Tigray wasn't playing fantastic. He was playing fine. Cook's here onto that. It could be a powerful team, and finally a lot does work.
Yeah, I was saying, a lot of taking on that firepower role with Mouse Sports so well, and that striking role just certainly fit him in a way that no one kind of expected. So the question is, of course, will that also work with Mystic in the fold alongside Speed? Again, it's sort of like swapping out those parts, and I'll be curious to see how well that will work when it comes to the Valencia LAN. Obviously, that will be the proving ground for this particular lineup. But as it stands right now, it seems like Mystic's going to be probably replaced by a lot at this stage based off of the what we have essentially on show, and all the circumstantial evidence and all the circumstantial news that's been breaking over the course of this podcast. And of course, it would happen live during the fucking podcast, because that's how Aftershock rolls, boys.
That's it. Everyone waited until we had the live podcast, the live broadcast.
We are the fucking by the numbers of Rocket League, man. Like, holy shit.
Hey, at least it didn't happen after the podcast this time.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Fuck you, Alex. Right.
Jeez.
let's move back into the bracket then. So yeah, I've explained everything. Anybody have any comments in my bracket?
Yeah. I know you went on about the Cloud9 thing, beating NRG. That's the. To be honest, out of the games that you have there, that's the only one with the exception of Vitality Barca, which we've said could go either way.
That's
we'll
a 50-50, it feels like, yeah.
Yeah, it could go either way. I still pick Barca out of that. The only one I would flip is Cloud9 NRG. Simply because I think NRG is... that's the thing. It's something that you can't explain in sport, esports, whatever. It's something you can't explain. It's down to being their time, I think. Like, we've seen it the last couple of seasons and been that close, especially going back to season 5. My God.
I will say, by the way.
104 for life, by the way.
I will. I'm kind of rocking my. Oh yeah, everyone's got their 104 shirts. Sorry, not Bacon hasn't, but I've got my Rival Esports shirt, which kind of counts. I'm gonna say it counts. No, but I will say this though.
It's one of those things. It's like you can't explain it. It just feels like it's their time to become the champions, and especially
I will say this.
With the home crown behind them, I think NRG is possible to win. I still think it's going to be Barca, but NRG with the home crowd. You never know. But out of that match, I'd still pick NRG.
I will say this. I will say this, right? That absolutely, I believe that NRG could beat Cloud9. I'm saying this probably is the closest particular matchup that we have, that I have in this bracket, right? And I'm absolutely saying yes, Cloud9 probably might not make it in, potentially might not make it in above NRG. I will also say that at the end of the Season 5 World Championship at Landon, after the Justin shot came in, I also did tweet that Justin will win a World Championship within the next 2 seasons. So the time is now. I do think that again, Cloud9 side will probably end up taking it, but you never know. Let's see.
Cloud9 are not being NRG. They faced up against each other 4 times this season. Sorry, not this season. This year so far, and they've lost 4 times. It is not happening.
Bacon, right? LAN performance. We've seen how different LAN can look online. And the only time they faced up against each other was months ago back at the fucking Leipzig LAN, right? And yes, they did win it. But at the same time, I'm still saying that they're not going to fucking win it this time. World Championship, Cloud9, big popular side, always perform on LAN, every fucking LAN. They're going to take this thing. Fuck you otherwise. Right.
All right.
I forgot that you two are like a married couple bickering sometimes. It's tremendous.
The old married couple of EU Rocket League.
Yeah, mate. We are the reality TV of European Rocket League, apparently.
Right then. Show ever.
So there we go. Those are our brackets and our predictions. For the most part, the most consistent element about this is the fact that we've all mostly got Barcelona winning this World Championship, except for obviously Jam, who has NRG being the main outlier, which possibly could turn everything around depending on how...
We've all got Barca making semis.
We've all got Barca making semis. I think that we also have Vitality making semis. Cloud9 as well, yeah. No, Crafters doesn't. So we've got Vitality and FCB making semis. So for the most part, it just proves that we're all EU fanboys at the end of it. So there you go.
Hey.
It works out like that.
Welcome to Aftershock.
I mean, if Vitality and Barca don't make semis, it's been bad for them because they're just that good.
Holy shit, yeah. But yeah, no, that's basically going to be our World Championship prediction show pretty much wrapped up. And also in just about due time for the last prediction show as well, Bacon. We had an hour and 45 minutes on that last one, and we're going to hit the hour and 45 minute marker on this one as well. So there you go. Solid. Consistency here at RLAfterShock. We never have it until today. But I do want to, of course, thank our fine gentlemen here in Mr. Craftman and Jar of Jam for coming on at such late notice as well in the case of in the case of you two. Obviously, we had guests planned and tried to get it coordinated, but it kind of fell through, and I was being an idiot and I was procrastinating. So thank you, gentlemen, for coming on.
It was like a 3 a.m. you up sort of vibe going on last
Pretty
night.
Much.
It was just a panic message I got from Jay. It's like, yo, do you want to do Aftershock tomorrow at like 7:30? I'm like, yeah,
well,
sure.
No, it's because I was saying, like, we'll just get Crafters and Doomsy back on, like, do the same. It'd be quite a good fun mix-up. I finally messaged Ryan yesterday. He's like, oh, no, I'm over my girlfriend. So I was like, wait a fucking second, you got a girlfriend finally? finally. And it was just a
Finally.
Breaking news on
Finally.
RLAfterShock.
breaking
in a
news,
relationship.
even more RLAfterShock.
Doomsy retires from Rocket League to start a family.
Becomes a house husband, yeah.
Well, gentlemen, before
Oh,
we
we're going
head
to turn
off,
into like E Entertainment in a minute. Or
Before
what's the
we
other
head
one?
off-
fucking TMZ.
is there a way we can spin E Entertainment into like RL
TMRL.
Esports? RL Esports. There we are. See?
E exclamation sports.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Crap name.
I know, what a shit name. All right, well,
we'll work on
before
it.
we head off, I do want to give the floor to our fine little guests, Mr. Craftman and Jara of Jam. We'll start with Crafters here to sort of like plug your shit, let us know what's going on, what you got coming up, and obviously to give you your final thoughts on the LAN event and what you think and how you're going to be excited for this weekend, if you are going to be excited at all. So, Crafters, whatever you want to say, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so like we've been saying, we are really excited for this RLCS. It's been building up to be one of the if not the biggest world championship yet. There's going to be some upsets as we predicted as Bacon lets his dog back in.
I was going to say, we'll give the doggo an open floor as well.
Yeah, we'll give the dog an open floor. He's the
He'll
third
get a
guest.
second to talk.
He'll get equal time. But yeah, I really can't wait. I'm gonna watch as much as I can, but I'm really busy this weekend for some reason. If you want to catch more of me, I cast every now and again. I need to start casting more because I don't do it as much these days. At
There's not much that
CraftmanRL on
counts.
Twitter, CraftmanRL on Twitch. Even though I've not streamed since February, I have a Discord that I don't use. If you want to join that for some reason.
There's an
He's got
Instagram
a
page
Twitch
that
he
I'm
doesn't
posted.
use, a Discord he doesn't use, a casting career he doesn't use.
I mean, if you want to send me business emails, mrcraftman96@gmail.com.
Which he doesn't use.
I would use if I got business emails. Please send me business email. But yeah, and of course you'll see me in Valencia. I'm going to Valencia, not to work, but to at least not for now work. We'll see when the time comes.
Casters on tour.
Yeah, Crafters on tour. But yeah, come see us in Valencia. It's going to be wild ride.
Awesome. And Jam, floor is yours.
Well, you can find me at @jarxjam on Twitter. I also have a Twitch channel I don't use. So that's something else.
We all have Twitch channels
Wait,
we
did
don't
you give
fucking
up on
use.
the play like the 500 games in your Steam library?
I haven't given up on this yet, but basically I didn't have time or the energy to do so. It's still my big plan to get through my Steam backlog and just finish everything. Otherwise, I've just been playing Rocket League and other
The dreams
stuff.
of a madman, that one.
Yeah, but it's a possibility. I just need a couple of years. It's definitely doable. But yeah, despite this late notice, I honestly think you couldn't have asked for two better guests. So that answers
Agreed.
everyone's questions. No, they couldn't have gotten any better guests. That's the best. You can get.
Literally, we couldn't have got anyone else.
No,
Literally,
Nope.
none were available.
Really, yeah. But other
Best
than
of a
that,
bad bunch.
other than that, just like these fantastic fellas, will be over at Valencia. So I'm gonna say hello to everyone. Please come by us and say hello to us. And I'll be pleased to meet as many people as possible. And really, for Valencia, despite LAN happening this weekend, one of the results I'm expecting from LAN is who is gonna go to Valencia with the title of a champion. So just whoever that will be, seeing them there, since neither of us can go to New Jersey at this point, we'll get our own little like victory tour if that team indeed makes it there. I'm pretty sure whoever it's going to be will go there anyway.
Yeah, it's only 2 weeks apart as well. So
Exactly. It's going to be quite fun. Anyway, so finally, Tom, the dog, let's give the floor to him so he can plug his shit and give his predictions.
Plug his shit. I don't think
He's
the
just
dog
like-
has much.
He's just sucking his arm at the moment. He's busy.
Aw.
It's okay, we'll exploit that little clip for views on Twitter later. Right.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be it from us here this week at RLAfterShock. Another fantastic show, another fantastic set of guests making, if I do say so myself. Another fun prediction out of the way as well. We've got some interesting conversations, some interesting discussions, and of course some interesting predictions as well going on.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I love that we all think, apart from, of course, Jam, that Barca's going to be the strong team, but the way that Barca gets there, or the winning team gets there, is very much jumbled up. I like that. It shows that even though there's a lot of safe predictions, there's also a couple of outliers, which is quite cool.
Awesome. Well, of course, we'll all be talking about the results of this particular prediction pick'em game at the end of the next show. And, of course, we'll talk about all the results of the World Championship at the end of the next show as well. So make sure you want to stick around for all that, following the Twitter at RLAfterShock, and now live on Twitch at twitch.tv/RLAfterShock. We're back, baby, and we are ready to stream, hopefully, every single... I'm going to say hopefully, because I know that we say, yeah, we're going to do a live show every week, and nope, Starladder's calling. Again, keep it all locked up. Again, at RLAfterShock on Twitter, but we'll keep you informed about every single day that we're streaming. Follow the Twitch, and of course, join the Discord. It's in the description of every single show notes and video description of this podcast. Join our community. If you're in the Twitch channel right now, it's !Discord, and you can jump in via that Discord link where you can discuss it with us, discuss the podcast about other esports things going on. And we do Counter-Strike sometimes as well. We sometimes do community nights as well in Counter-Strike and Rocket League. So of course, you want to get involved in that. You can have a chat to all the guys, and of course you can send us a mailbag question, which hopefully we'll answer on air if your question is good enough. And finally, of course, also I do want to plug out the audio and video versions of the podcast on YouTube at The Eternal J, and also on Spotify and Google Podcasts and iTunes, and now we're also on TuneIn as well, the latest platform to accept us at long fucking last. Of course, you can go to anchor.fm/RLAftershock to find your favorite place to listen or request your favorite platform. So Bacon, any final words before we head out for another week and a very big week of Aftershock?
No, it's just been such a busy few weeks. I'm quite happy to get a bit of a break, from tomorrow. And then we kick off with RLCS, so it's going to be one hype weekend. And I love that we get so much Rocket League.
Indeed we do. Make sure you're tuning in at twitch.tv/Rocket League for all of that action from the World Championships. Until next week, we'll see you back here for even more of the Aftershock.